رمضان 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 كريم.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last Prophet and Messenger Muhammad, on his family members, his companions, and all those who follow in their way till the day of judgment. Ameen. My brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this episode of Ramdhan Insights with the greeting of Islam, the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Tonight we would like to discuss some of the common mistakes that people commit in fasting, while fasting and doing the night prayers, so that we may avoid them and so that our fast may be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we reap more rewards in the process. We know that Ramadan is a season of reaping great rewards from Allah. It requires diligence, it requires strict observance of the rules of fasting and to avoid all those things which could reduce our reward and detract from the fast. Now, in the spirit of mutual advice and cooperation for goodness, I would like to advise my brother Muslims and sisters and myself to avoid certain things while we are fasting Ramadan. And these are many points, but I'll try to cover as much as I can. First and foremost, when the call is made for breaking the fast or the call is made for the Maghrib prayers during Ramadan, people become busy with eating and breaking their fast, and nobody will actually recite the call for the prayer. This is a great loss of reward. The Prophet, may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, when you hear the call for the prayer, do repeat after the caller what he says, and you make a prayer for the Prophet. So because this will get you intercession of the Prophet on the day of judgment. Whoever repeats after the muaddin, the caller, and prays to Allah to grant al-wasila to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, Rasul will get him to intercede for him on the day of judgment. So there's great reward that we lose if we don't repeat after the caller of the prayer. Another problem we have is that people spend too much time eating or breaking their fast until they lose or they miss the congregation prayers at the Maghrib time or the sunset prayer congregation under the pretext that they are breaking their fast. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, used to break his fast with dates and water. Just a little bit of some food or some dates and some fresh milk or leban or something, milk, whatever. You can start to break your fast with something to keep you going until you finish your prayers and come back. So we don't have to eat till we are fully satisfied and then go to the prayers, because that was not the practice of the Prophet. We should attend the congregation prayers and then come back and finish our iftar or our meal afterwards. So it is better actually to avoid eating too much at the time of breaking the fast, because this will make us lazy to pray the other prayers. Many people, they eat heavily at the time of breaking their fast to the point that they cannot perform the night prayer, the Isha prayer, and they cannot perform the Taraweeh prayers because they are actually overloaded with food and they feel very heavy and very sleepy. So it is recommended to eat moderately and come and eat afterwards. After you finish your prayers, you can have a heavy meal afterwards. So it's always advisable to eat very light in the beginning and then complete after your prayers. You come and complete your food. The Quran says clearly, ثُمَّ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. That means till sunset. So it is not allowed to delay the breaking of the fast until it is totally dark. In that respect, you will also be late for your prayers. In fact, it is recommended that one breaks his fast quickly and goes and attends the congregation prayers. The Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, the nation or my people will still be on good. The people will be always on virtue as long as they advance the iftar they break their fast early and they delay the sahur, the late meal, later close to the Fajr time. So this is the proper sunnah. We should make iftar earlier and delay the sahur or the late night meal till close to the Fajr time. And other people, they have other mistakes, like they miss the sunnah of Isha. After the Salatul Isha in Ramadan, before the Taraweeh prayer is started, normally there's 2 rakahs. People should pray, but many people, they leave it out. They think that we're going to do Taraweehs, there's no need to do this. This is not the way of the Prophet and his companions. They used to always perform this 2 units of prayer after Isha. So there's no point to just ignore this. Another mistake that people do is that they don't use siwak. They think that it is not recommended while you are fasting, due to the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad who said, the breath of the fasting person is more beloved in the sight of Allah than the scent of misk or musk. This is true, but scholars have agreed, based on many other hadiths of the Prophet, that it is recommended for a Muslim who is fasting to use the siwak or toothbrush in the morning and in the afternoon. Other people, they refrain from sniffing water into their nostrils while making ablution, while fasting, because they're afraid it will affect their fast. The Prophet said, exaggerate in sniffing unless you are fasting. That doesn't mean to abandon it altogether. One has to not exaggerate when they are fasting, so that the water does not enter into their stomach, but they can still use, they still can sniff the water, because this is part of the ablution. Other people, like women who are menstruating or who are having post-childbirth bleeding, who are exempted from fasting, they are afraid to eat in the daytime in Ramadan. They feel embarrassed to eat, but actually they are permitted to do so, and they should not feel embarrassed about it. The only thing is they should not eat in public. They can eat in the privacy of their home or their room. This is their right, because they are not eligible to fast under this situation. And some people are uncomfortable when they wake up in the morning and they're in the state of janaba or being sexually defiled. This is not something to be embarrassed about. The Prophet Muhammad, sometimes, peace be upon him, used to wake up in a state of being sexually defiled, and he will take a ritual bathing or ghusl and then perform his prayers and his fast. He'll keep his fast. So the state of being janaba does not affect your fast. All you have to do is to take a complete ritual shower or ritual bathing, and then after that you perform your prayers and you continue with your fast. Some people, they actually fast, but they don't perform the prayers. This is a very serious mistake, because actually the pillar of prayer precedes the pillar of fasting, and praying is the foundation of the faith. It is not appropriate that you fast and you don't pray. This is a very serious matter, because the fasting might not be accepted. One has to establish all the pillars of Islam. Some Muslims, unfortunately, they precede the Imam in the prayers. Like when he's performing Taraweeh prayers, they bow before the Imam or prostrate before the Imam and so forth. So the Imam is our leader in the prayer. We should bow after he bows and prostrate after he prostrates and stand up after he stands up. We are not allowed to go ahead of him, nor to lag far behind him, nor to perform the prayer simultaneously with him. This is against the teaching of the Prophet. So Muslims should actually bear in mind that the Imam is to be followed, not to be preceded in the prayers. And we believe that as Muslims, we should always remember that when we are performing our fast, it should be sincerely for the sake of Allah. And therefore, we should break it with the way that Allah wants us to break the fast, properly, using halal and income, eating from halal food. We should not spend the time that we have after all this fast, we go and at night we spoil everything we did in the day by breaking the fast on haram items, eating haram food, or drinking something which is prohibited by Allah. So we should maintain the fast by performing it properly and keeping it properly. Again, I would like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to be alive in this month of Ramadan. We ask Allah to help us to avoid these mistakes that could lead to reducing the reward that we have for Ramadan, that we make our best efforts to learn the rules of fasting so that we do it properly. And if we don't know, we should ask the scholars. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. I seek Allah's forgiveness and guidance. I pray Allah to guide us all to the straight path and make this Ramadan a successful Ramadan, and that we become winners in this Ramadan and always do it in the way that pleases Allah the Almighty. Thank you very much.
رمضان 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 كريم رمضان